A very good evening to you. I'm Lisa Lord, and in our headlines, family, friends and colleagues reflect on the murder of a young photojournalist. Parliamentarians debate the Black Lives Matter movement. Residents and businesses to have their say on a major roadworks project. And in sports, 4 players impress on day 1 of the Windies warm-up match.
Newsnight Headlines was brought to you compliments Omega XL.
Broadcasting from our studios in the Pine St. Michael, this is CBC Newsnight, starting now.
In our top story, Prime Minister Mia Motley has reacted to the death of photojournalist Christoph Griffith, saying his life ended well before he had the opportunity to fulfill his potential. Griffith was one of 2 people killed yesterday on the compound of the old Bishop's Court residence at Bishop Court Hill, St. Michael. Both bodies appeared to have several wounds and injuries. Griffith, the former Nation staffer, was at the time covering a murder. The Prime Minister has extended condolences to Griffith's family and the media fraternity. She has also recognized the other victim, identified as 51-year-old Glenroy James of Grisette St. Michael, telling his family her thoughts and prayers are with them. Now, meanwhile, close friends and family members are still in a state of disbelief following that double murder yesterday. Sharika Griffith reports.
I am, like many others, in a state of shock, sorrow and regret.
These were the general sentiments expressed by those who knew the victims. 25-year-old Christoph Griffith and 51-year-old Glenroy James of Grisette St. Michael were killed during the execution of their duties while at Bishop's Court Hill. When a CBC team visited Griffiths Lanes Road, Britton's Hill St. Michael home, his family was understandably too distraught to speak. Others, however, have shared their thoughts about the young man, including entertainer Rico Mole Cumberbatch, for who Christoph served as personal photographer and videographer. The entertainer says he last spoke to the young man, who was like a brother to him, on Saturday.
Chris, most genuine person in the world, real thing. Just humble, quiet, respectful. If you tell Chris, I want you to help me, I'm saying, Chris, don't hesitate to tell you, yeah, I can do that for you. The last thing Chris tell me, I gotta do some house chores, brother. That's letting me know I gotta wash clothes and things. It's all right, that easy being like. Then to hear my brother gone.
Pastor Fitzherbert Curtin of the Evangelical Tabernacle, which Christoph attended with his family, says he was an exemplary young man.
Never ever disrespectful, very warm in his greetings, and whenever you see him, you can expect that he will not in any way overreact or even underreact, always very balanced as a young man.
CBC also spoke with Sarisa King, supervisor of the asbestos removal project at Bishop's Court Hill, who got the frantic call from 2 truck drivers that something had gone terribly wrong. She says Glenroy James, who was routinely subcontracted by A&B Pest Control, was married but had no biological children.
James was a really good person, someone that we could, rely on no matter what time of day. We could always call James, so that's why yesterday it really affected me, because I know if I call James and missed the call twice, he would always call me back and be like, yes, Teresa, what you want now, and he even had plans to take, because I recently moved, he had plans to take him to put up a TV stand for me, because he was basically the guy I could call to do, anything for me. So I'm really going to miss him, and I express my deepest sympathies to his family.
Manager of A&B Pest Control David King says he had initially expressed concern about the safety of his workers when he encountered the alleged suspect on the compounds of the old Bishop's residence. However, he was convinced by his employees, including the deceased Glenroy James, to leave him be.
I was very sad to hear that he did my life like that. And we truly never thought that he would have done something like that, because he's working among the men, and they're not working because we never employ him. But you bring a lot of old wood and bring, they say, you find something to do, but, right? And different type of thing like that.
Police have confirmed that a male suspect is in custody, assisting with investigations. Sharika Griffith, CBC News.
And many professionals in the media fraternity have been fondly remembering Christoph. Our Shane Jones reached out to a number of them today.
I'm standing on the spot where Nation News photojournalist Christoph Griffith drew his last breath. And even as investigations are still ongoing and the evidence of this heinous crime is still fresh, we are all struggling to come to grips with what happened. It's a story that rocked the nation and shook the media fraternity in Barbados to its core. But one thing is for certain, Christoph left a lasting impact on his colleagues.
What happened yesterday in our country was very tragic. It has left a big gaping hole for us here at the Nation, and not just in our editorial department, across the entire planet, but also across the media fraternity. Christoph was very kind, he was very friendly. A lot of people who knew him loved him.
Christoph was bubbly, fun, cool, and quiet. He would come into the newsroom and just sit down and just wait for some joke to exist, and he just burst with laughter. And because that's the kind of person I know him, he's that guy that he just wants some positive energy that he could go and do his hustle.
Very humble, very cool. He loved his job, honestly. He really loved his job. Yeah, and it's really heartbreaking what happened, knowing that he was just doing his job, and to lose his life in such a way, it really affected all of us.
He was a gentleman, he was charming, he had a passion for what he was doing as a photojournalist, and to say that he will be missed, to say that the profession has lost a bright spark really is an understatement. We will certainly miss Christoph every day in this profession.
He was always one of the people that wanted to seek out his story as fast as possible. I don't necessarily feel good about it. It hit me really hard because, as far as I'm concerned, that could have been me.
He was one of those persons that always tried to look out for you. You could not go to a night assignment, entertainment assignment with Christoph and ever have to worry about, oh shoot, I missed a picture, or oh shoot, how we can get home. He was always there. You got the shot, right? You need anything? You need a ride home? That was the sort of person that Christoph was.
It really has touched all of us very deeply, and it also underscores, though, Shane, the extreme dangers that journalists here in Barbados as well are sometimes exposed to in their attempts to cover the story, and that's out of their drive and desire to keep the public informed, but out of an unswerving commitment for the task at hand. And I believe this situation requires us, though, to relook the protocols that govern how journalists are deployed to respond to potentially hazardous situations.
He's one of those people that he made an effort and he listened, and therefore he learned and he got better and better and better. And my condolences really go out to his family, his mom, his dad, his brothers, because this is really an unprecedented occasion. And it really, after all these years involved in journalism, for something like this to happen to such a young, promising talent, it's really, really sad.
Christoph loved what he did and died doing what he loved. May he rest in peace. Shane Jones, CBC News.
And the Caribbean Broadcasting Corporation has joined the rest of the media fraternity to mourn the tragic loss of one of our colleagues, Christoph Griffith. He was a well-known and respected young photojournalist who inspired many with his positive nature and resourcefulness, and he will be missed. The board and members of the Caribbean Broadcasting Corporation extend deepest sympathy to his family and colleagues at this time. May he rest in peace. Well, former CLICO President Leroy Paris is in police custody being questioned in connection with a matter under investigation. CLICO collapsed in spectacular fashion about a decade ago. The company was placed in judicial management and was eventually the subject of a multi-million-dollar government bailout. The number of people in the island's COVID-19 isolation facility at Harrison Point, St. Lucie remains unchanged at 5. This as no one was in isolation was released today. Health officials say in addition, no one tested positive for COVID-19 in the 56 tests conducted by the Dos Santos Public Health Lab. The total number of tests done is now 7,530. The tally of confirmed cases remains at 97, with 85 recoveries and 7 deaths. Now, even as regulations have been massively relaxed in Barbados during the COVID-19 pandemic, Barbadians should still be conscious of staying healthy and boosting their immune systems. Research has shown that proper nutrition and hydration are vital in the fight against the coronavirus. And in tonight's edition of Coping with COVID-19, Shane Jones uses information from the World Health Organization to look at what should be in your diet.
Tonight's edition of Coping with COVID-19 is brought to you by Great Healthworks, agents for Omega XL and Probiotic. People who eat a well-balanced diet tend to be healthier with stronger immune systems and lower risk of chronic illnesses and infectious diseases. So you should eat a variety of fresh and unprocessed foods every day to get the vitamins, minerals, dietary fiber, protein and antioxidants your body needs. Eat fruits, vegetables, beans, nuts, whole grains, and foods from animal sources like meat, fish, eggs, and milk. For snacks, choose raw vegetables and fresh fruit rather than foods that are high in sugar, fat, or salt. Do not overcook vegetables and fruit, as this can lead to the loss of important vitamins. When using canned or dried vegetables and fruit, choose varieties without added salt or sugar. Drink 8 to 10 cups of water every day. Water is essential for life. It transports nutrients and compounds in blood, regulates your body temperature, gets rid of waste, and lubricates and cushions joints. While water is the best choice, you can also consume other drinks, fruits and vegetables that contain water, for example, lemon juice diluted in water and unsweetened, tea and coffee. But be careful not to consume too much caffeine and avoid sweetened fruit juices, syrups, fruit juice concentrates, fizzy and still drinks, as they all contain sugar. Eat moderate amounts of fat and oil. Consume unsaturated fats found in fish, avocado, nuts, olive oil and soy, rather than saturated fats found in fatty meat, butter, coconut oil, cream and cheese. Choose white meats like poultry and fish, which are generally low in fat rather than red meat. Avoid processed meats because they are high in fat and salt. Where possible, opt for low-fat and reduced-fat versions of milk and dairy products. Avoid industrially produced trans fats. These are often found in processed food, fast food, snack food, fried food, frozen pizza, cookies, margarines, and spreads. Limit your daily salt intake to less than approximately 1 teaspoon and use iodized salt. These are some tips to help you cope with COVID-19. Tonight's edition of Coping with COVID-19 was brought to you by Great Healthworks, agents for Omega XL and Probiotic.
The Black Lives Matter movement was debated in today's session of the House. Prime Minister Mia Motley says the COVID-19 pandemic provided fertile ground for the outrage globally at the killing of African-American George Floyd at the hands of a white police officer.
If that virus had not come, and if this pandemic was not virulent, the potential for the response to George Floyd's death would never, in my view, have mushroomed as much as it did. But we had the attention of the entire world because the world was not busy running and making money and fighting battles and doing this and that. The world was trying to heal. And in the midst of healing, an act that is all too familiar to our people, that is all too much a part of our history, became a part of our present and threatened to want to continue to be a part of our future.
Well, opposition leader Bishop Joseph Adderley says Barbados society is more affected by class divisions than race. He says it must be realized that all Black lives matter. Mr. Adderley also wants ownership patterns of capital and land in Barbadian society re-examined, and he's called for a review of alien land holding legislation.
I believe that legislation needs to be addressed such that if you want a piece of land in Barbados, because you're investing and you're going to employ people and you're going to help us to earn foreign exchange, we can provide for that. Whether you come in simply because you want to have a vacation home for 4, 5, 6 months of the year, it's a speaker that has its benefits, but it also brings its significant disadvantage to a land-scarce community in which the majority are dispossessed when it comes to land ownership.
A major roadworks project is set to be undertaken soon, with residents and businesses getting the chance to have their say on the improvements. Their feedback is being sought through online and face-to-face surveys as well as focus groups.
The road rehabilitation and improving connectivity of infrastructure project is being undertaken by the Ministry of Transport, Works and Maintenance. It's to improve road surfaces for the safe and easy movement of vehicular traffic in 10 primary and secondary connector roads in 6 parishes, where roadways have deteriorated significantly. The project is being funded by government and the Inter-American Development Bank. Now, the ministry's survey aims to examine the effects the roadworks could have on commuters and surrounding neighborhoods. Dr. Yolanda Aline is the representative of Mayhe Ridley Hazard, the engineering firm on the project. She says it's important that as projects such as these move forward, the public understands the importance of feedback.
The social survey is intended to get the views of the communities and the people who are, and the users, the road users, so that they can have a sense of how the road works would actually impact on people's lives in terms of commuting, in terms of access to critical services. And more you are finding that funding agencies, not just in this ministry but across government, is requiring the government to be more accountable in terms of the facilities that are being provided and the impact it's having on their end users. So I'm really pretty much asking them to engage the communities more and more from the beginning and throughout and to the end life of the project.
The online survey will be available until Sunday, July 5th, and more information can be accessed on the Government Information Service website. In addition, the consultant, Mayhe Ridley Hazard, will host a series of online neighborhood focus groups with volunteers from communities and businesses within the proposed road improvement areas. Persons who wish to participate in these online focus groups can call 262-4392 or email rmo@mayheridleyhazard.com and provide their contact information. The consultant will also conduct a limited number of face-to-face community surveys within the vicinity of the road improvements between June 18th and July the 5th.
Well, even though Crop Over 2020 has been cancelled, local entertainer Damian Hyposounds Etienne is making sure his fans still have new music to enjoy. The soca artist recently released 2 new songs here on CBC's 98.1 The One.
The name of my 2 releases are Kamna and Musique. Musique is basically from my roots. My grandmother is a song that's dedicated to her, the Kadas, you know, the kind of music I grew up on. Shout out to all the Lucians out there. And it's basically feel-good music, something when the music hit you, where it make you feel like doing, you know, having fun. So creating that, it always, I had flashbacks of how she used to tell me about the culture, how they used to dance and things they used to wear and do stuff. So basically, this is just something paying homage to Grants.
While the artist has been forced to shelve plans for the 2nd edition of his Soca for Her concert, his team is already planning for next year. But Hyposound says people who purchase tickets for this year's event are eligible for refunds.
We can't do the show, so we are doing refunds.
Right.
Yeah, so follow Soca for Her .life page
and you will get all the information on that. You'll be able to go to the box office where you purchase your ticket, and you'll be able to get a refund from next week, Monday. But follow the page and you will get more info on that. And please, you have to bring your ticket in order to get a refund.
Well, still to come, CARICOM wants to welcome the Dutch Caribbean into the grouping. Then a bit later we have sports. But before we get there, here is that tip from Cooperators General Insurance.
This tip of the day is brought to you by Cooperators General Insurance Company Limited. Insurance the way you want it to be.
Did you know insurance is the preferred risk management technique that persons and organizations use to transfer hazardous risks such as fire, flood, hurricanes, storms, earthquakes, and all these risks can be obtained in a single insurance policy? Cooperators General Insurance, ensuring you are protected during this hurricane season.
Regional news now. Barbados Ambassador to CARICOM David Comachong says the 15-member regional grouping is keen to welcome the Dutch Caribbean into the bloc. He says given that the islands are not yet independent states and they won't qualify for full membership, they will, however, be admitted as associate members.
There's a process in place because there has to be a discussion and a negotiation. So both sides have to have a concrete understanding of what are the rights and duties of associate membership, what is expected of both parties. And when all those details are worked out and both sides agree, we are both on the same page, then it will be consummated. But it is well advanced because most of those discussions have already taken place, and I would not be surprised if by the time of the next Heads of Government summit, we are in a position to take a formal decision on the matter.
Well, over in Guyana, Mayor Robertson, the attorney who filed the notice of motion on behalf of his client to halt the declaration of results, has expressed dissatisfaction at the Court of Appeal's ruling yesterday, deeming it a victory for all. Let me hear more now in this HGP TV report.
With the Court of Appeal deciding today that it has jurisdiction to hear the matter of Eslyn David regarding the validity of votes cast at the 2020 elections, attorney-at-law Mayor Robertson, representing Ms. David, today expressed his satisfaction at the court's decision and the way his client felt about it.
She was here with me and she was very happy, jumping up and down, smiling. I was saying to her, she's like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer now.
The attorney explained the basis of his case.
The entire process required valid votes to be counted. The issue of valid votes comes up in Section 96 of the Representation of the People Act, and that is imported and incorporated by reference into Order Number 60, which authorized the recount. So you go to Section 96, and 96 says, the CEO, the Chief Election Officer, shall prepare a report based on the total number of valid votes.
This newscast sought to clarify whether there could be more legal proceedings on the matter, and this is what the attorney had to say.
This is the end of the matter on that issue, because proceedings were initiated under Article 177.4, and Article 177.4 says, the decision of the Court of Appeal shall be final. So there is no possibility of an appeal to the CCJ.
In clarifying whether we can now see a declaration of results for the 2020 general and regional elections anytime soon, the attorney asserted.
What I know is that the Chief Election Officer can present a report based on valid votes, and Constitution requires the chairman to act only on the report of the Chief Election Officer.
In conclusion, the attorney deemed the ruling by the Court of Appeal on Monday as a win for all Guyanese.
And sporting action is just ahead.